All right, folks. Well, our next guest is usually right next to 45. We often see him, as we did this week in New York. Trump was in court for one case and getting a win on a lower bail for another case. I'm very pleased right now to have the very busy, on the road usually, Jason Miller, senior advisor for President Trump, right here in the Newsline studios today. Jason, welcome in.
Bianca, good to be back with you in studio.
Great to have you. I have to remark on something we watched yesterday unfolding on the show, is that Biden was very quick to come out and make comments about this bridge. Later, there was a press conference. Dems could really gush about him. But it was such a sharp contrast to other tragedies we've seen. You know, a train derailment in East Palestine. It takes him a year to go. President Trump's right there. He has water. Hours later, he's on the ground. It almost seems like there's somewhat of a shift in campaign strategy. You couple that with the fact we know Obama's been talking to Biden a lot. They have this ultra-rich elite New York fundraiser with Obama and Clinton. What do you make of what we're seeing as Biden has been so unsympathetic to, I think, some of the Heartland's true needs in times of crisis?
Yeah, really good question. I would hate to think that it's simply because Baltimore is a blue Democratic area and East Palestine is more of a red Republican area, as you point out, in the Heartland. I would hate to think it's that crass. I would hate to think it's as crass as Biden is looking at the poll numbers and saying that Americans do not believe that he has strong leadership, and he's faltering on that. So now he's going to step up and try to lead in some capacity. But it's not a good look for Joe Biden. And the fact of the matter is, crises are happening in our country every single day, whether it be crime, whether it be at the border. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Joe Biden seems very selective in where he decides to show some compassion. And by the way, even when he tries to do it, he says that he used to ride the train over the Francis Scott Key Bridge all the time. Well, there are no train tracks over the bridge.
He can't escape the gaffe or sort of inserting himself. And usually it's also he asserts either the fire at his home or his son, Beau. It's always about him. You mentioned when people are hurting in times of crisis, there was a story in Queens that has captured a lot of people's hearts. This officer, routine traffic stop, Jonathan Diller, is going to be laid to rest tomorrow, visiting hours, and he was killed by someone with 21 priors. We hear that Donald Trump will be there tomorrow, again, showing sort of empathy in a time where there's a lot of people. We didn't even see Biden talk about this case, I believe.
Yeah, and the real sadness here is that these types of senseless killings are happening all over our country. We're seeing it at the border. We're seeing it with the migrant crime. We're also seeing it in our larger cities. We're even seeing it in the near suburbs. Say what happened with Officer Diller at Massapequa Park. And President Trump will be traveling to New York tomorrow to attend the visitation for Officer Diller. Leaves behind his wife, his one-year-old son. Very sad. His brother-in-law is NYPD. His cousin is NYPD. This is a family that's very dedicated. And when you see officers like this who are gunned down, and you see a president of the United States like Joe Biden who doesn't even say anything, who won't even say Officer Diller's name, it just shows a callous disregard because Joe Biden doesn't want to acknowledge that crime is happening in our cities and in our suburbs.
Yeah, it's so awful. And again, this is a person arrested 21 times, and the driver had 14 prior arrests in this vehicle. So we talk a lot about bail reform and what's happening with some of these liberal district attorneys not prosecuting. A whole other segment, we can get into that.